All right, here we go. It is Wednesday, 24 hours before the Indiana Pacers take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in a must-win Game 6 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. How you doing, everybody? I am Brett Rump with the Sports Rush with Brett Rump. This is one of our quick videos that we put out as topics arise, and today we got some news about Tyrese Haliburton. Some of it part of the fan morning show down in Indianapolis. And we'll talk about what was learned as Rick Carlisle visited that program. And I thought had some interesting things to say about what to expect from Tyrese Haliburton in game number 6. Also, we'll talk a little more about the Fever situation against the Connecticut Sun. But it's all about game 6 right now. Got to talk about the Pacers. Welcome to the program, and make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, and you share the channel. That would be the really nice thing to do, to let people know that the Sports Rush is still alive. We are on YouTube, and you've got a chance to follow us and keep up with everything just simply by ringing the little bell. And that'll give you alerts when we've got new postings and when we have live broadcasts, which we do once per week. We will go live here on our YouTube channel. But let's first talk about Tyrese Haliburton and his health situation. He had an MRI, and that determined that it is indeed a calf strain, which means he could play. It's just going to depend on how it feels. But it's very unlikely he's going to be 100%. So the question is, what did the Pacers do? Do you throw him out there as your star player and feel like he's got to play? He's earned it throughout his career, that if he's healthy enough to get on the court, he ends up on the court. I don't know about that. I think Rick Carlisle's got a really tough decision what to do with Tyrese Haliburton, because we know Haliburton's going to want to be out there if he's got any way to tape it up, to get some kind of a therapy that gives him some relief, but he is not going to be the explosive Tyrese Haliburton he needs to be, because when you attack this Oklahoma City defense, you better be attacking 100%, because these cats are quick. I mean, they take away driving lanes. They get hands on basketballs. They make it very difficult for you to get through the traffic and get to the basket. They are 100% geared toward taking the paint away, and I think the Pacers can exploit that, but they can't do it without Haliburton being at 100%. Now, is there anybody on the bench that I think I'll feel good about that guy picking up Haliburton's minutes? Well, a good Ben Mathurin wouldn't be a bad choice. I think he's athletic enough to provide maybe a little better defense than Haliburton gives you, but Mathurin was bad in Game 5. 2 for 11 from the field. He's got to be much better than that. And then you look down the bench, and it's like, okay, is Jarris Walker healthy? Is there someone else you could put in? I'll tell you this. Here's one of my thoughts. I think Thomas Bryant deserves a chance to get back out there. I know he was miserable, but you know what? Almost every Pacer has had a bad game up to this point. Thomas Bryant came off the bench and had a bad 2 minutes, and we didn't see him again and haven't seen him again this entire series. But Thomas Bryant gave you some big minutes in that series against the New York Knicks, hit some big three-pointers. And I think he might be a guy you'd want to consider putting out there. At least give him a shot. I mean, to me, Thomas Bryant or Tony Bradley, if you're willing to put Tony Bradley out there, then you might as well give Thomas Bryant a shot. Miles Turner hasn't been the answer, but this would be one of those games where Miles Turner all of a sudden shows up. But as far as Tyrese Haliburton and what to expect, again, his defense was lacking the other night. He had just 4 points. He did not hit a field goal out of 6 tries. You can't have that and expect to win this game. But I'll tell you what will win this game is three-point shooting. In the 2 Pacers wins against Oklahoma City, the Pacers shot 45 and 46% from behind the three-point line. In their 3 losses, 37, 35, and I think it was 30 or 31% in the other game. So when they're in the 30s, 0-3. When they go above 40% from 3, they are 2-0. And I think that's going to be the key in this game. And they do shoot the ball much better from 3 at home than they do on the road. So you got to feel good about the three-point shot. And when you start talking about the three-point shot, Pascal Siakam's been one of the keys hitting threes. Aaron Nesmith, you've got Andrew Nemhard. TJ McConnell's even set up and hit some threes. Guys you don't expect. Ben Matherin has to put the ball in the bucket. But the Pacers will need to make shots. You look at this series and the scores have been very close. I mean, right around the upper 100s, 107, 108, 109. And the winning team has been somewhere 114, 15, 116, right in that range. And it's probably what we're going to see. But if the Pacers can finally have a game against OKC where they can break free and hit 120, they're going to win this game. And the big question for me is, are the Pacers, do they have enough left in the tank? Because this is going to take a monumental effort. This is going to take everything you've got in the tank and get the support of the crowd and use that to ride the energy to a victory over a very athletic, very skilled Oklahoma City team that has been a different team since their coach decided to rotate guys a little deeper on the bench, get more rest for his starters, and have a fresher team down the stretch in the fourth quarter. And we saw the difference. Jalen Williams was unstoppable. And so Aaron Nesmith's got to play some defense. That's the worst defense we've seen perhaps all year from Aaron Nesmith. He was torched by Jalen Williams, and he's got to take that personally and step up and have a much better game. And Andrew Nemhard, he's got to get in and defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, take away penetration, get a hand up on that step back fadeaway from the elbow, because that's where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander seems to score about half his points. And also, if he gets inside the paint, the Pacers have to aggressively double team and take him away. But my key is you can give up one of them hitting 30, 35, 40 points. You can't let both of them do it. And that's what they did in Game 5. They both went off against the Pacers. And you've got to pick your poison. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to me, he's going to get his 25 to 30 points. He might get 35. But you cannot let Jalen Williams go for another 40 spot against you. Got to take him away. And this lies squarely on Aaron Nesmith, Ben Matherin. Those are the guys that are probably going to get the majority of the reps guarding him. Could be Obi Toppin, depending on the rotation and who Rick Carlisle's got in the game. But they've got to do a better job against Jalen Williams. Can't give him another 40. All right, so what do you expect? I'd love to have your comments on this. You can leave your comments on the video. We'll review them, read them, and probably even jump on and have a quick video tomorrow before the tip-off, because God knows the tip-off won't be until 8:40 at night. Also, I got to ask what you thought about the introductions being on national TV. I like that. I mean, that fires me up for the basketball game. When you see those intros and the hype video, I love it. I wish they'd do it on regular games, but it's the first time we've actually seen that since, 2013? Most of the networks have been cutting away during the intros, but I think there's some juice there, and it's a lot of fun as a fan sitting at home to make you feel like you're part of that environment, to be able to watch the intro video and how they announce the starting lineup, the energy from the crowd. It kind of fires you up, and they did it at Oklahoma City. I hope they do it at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. All right, let's talk about the Indiana Fever. They get a victory over the Connecticut Sun. That's not the story, and it should be, because with that win, the Indiana Fever advanced to the championship of the Commissioner's Cup, and they will be taking on Minnesota with a $500,000 prize pool at stake. This is like the TBT for professional basketball. And not only did the Fever win convincingly over Connecticut, but then they had to get help from the team they just beat over the weekend, the New York Liberty, and they got it when New York beat Atlanta and it's the Fever that will be playing Minnesota for a championship. Now, the story is what happened with Caitlin Clark, with Sophie Cunningham, with the Connecticut Sun, and I'll tell you this. Here's my take on it. J.C. Shelton didn't. I don't think she did it on purpose. She was trying to be aggressive. Now, what she did do on purpose, though, was after she poked Caitlin in the eye and Caitlin went down, Sheldon went right up and got into her body space. I mean, invaded her space, Caitlin's space. And you don't do that. You don't do that. That's showing up your opponent. And Caitlin stood her ground and pushed her back. Didn't give her a hard shove, didn't knock her down. That was a response to the action from Sheldon, and Caitlin Clark had every right to get her out of her space. It wasn't overly aggressive. There was no intent. Just get off my space. It was ridiculous they gave Caitlin Clark a technical foul in that situation. Ridiculous. All they're doing is trying to say, we're not going to favor this player just because she has saved the WNBA. Now, I don't know if the WNBA was going under, but the WNBA was a league that's losing money, and all of a sudden now they can give everybody charter flights. Everything's being upgraded. The pay is going up, and that's all because of one player. We could try to hear the stories from Angel Reese and others that the league's popular because of the quality of players that have come in over the last couple of years. It's Caitlin Clark, period. But the league tried to make a statement to everyone, all of their players. We're not going to protect Caitlin Clark. That's a big mistake. You've got to protect her. She is worth protecting. She is your league. She is your franchise. And what she did to deserve a technical, ridiculous. Stephanie White, who I don't know if they've announced her fine yet, but I'm sure a big one is coming. She basically went off on the officiating and said, the play in our league is better, the athleticism is better, the talent is better, everything is going up, and we've got officials that aren't advancing with the quality of our play. We need better officials. And absolutely right, Coach White. Stand up. Let them hear you in the back. It's not good enough. The officiating stinks, and they made some really poor judgments that took them a long time on review to finally come to that conclusion, and it wasn't right. Caitlin Clark shouldn't have gotten a technical. And Marina Mabrey, who was basically the third person in, came in and just body checked Caitlin to the ground. And if you watch every angle, okay, there's a couple of angles where it looks like she barely made contact, but there's one angle where you can see she came up from Caitlin's blind side, hit her on the side, and knocked her straight to the ground. Caitlin was not looking. She was not ready to take a body check. It's like a blindside hit in hockey. And so it was a dirty play by Marina Mabrey. She was taking her shot at Caitlin, who had protected herself from Sheldon getting into her space. And you know what? I'm not trying to make Caitlin out to be the victim, because she certainly talks the talk. She walks the walk. She's a person that you probably do have under your skin. But in this case, Mabrey was wrong. Mabrey was totally wrong. Caitlin Clark was walking away from the play. It wasn't like her player, her teammate, Mabrey's teammate, needed protected. And so Mabrey did something that was just plain dirty and should have been kicked out of the game. That's how you handle those situations. And so what happens? You end up policing yourself because the officials aren't taking care of business on their own. And Sophie Cunningham, in a one-on-one breakaway down the court by, again, J.C. Sheldon, Sophie Cunningham, late in the game, decides to collar up and throw Sheldon to the ground. Yeah, it was a rough play. And she initially kind of went for the ball, but then when she went for the ball, got her arms around her and decided, oh, I'm just throwing her out like I throw out my trash. Whoop, on out she goes. And down goes Sheldon. Went down pretty hard. I don't think there was an intent to injure on the play, but there was a message being sent clearly by Sophie Cunningham. You mess with our girl, we're messing with you. And of course, then all kinds of melee broke out. And but I love to see it. That's why Sophie Cunningham is wearing a Fever uniform. And Dewana Bonner, who's not in because of personal reasons, she would be somebody that would be considered one of those protectors. And so I was glad to see that Sophie Cunningham stood up and protected and made a statement to Connecticut. You're not getting away with that. We're going to eventually get you and get even if the officials don't do their job. And last night, they didn't do their job. All right. Got to end with a quick salute to the Florida Panthers. Yes, my team. The Florida Panthers back to back. Now, somebody could say, oh, he's a fair weather fan. If you've listened to the radio program, you know that I've been a Panthers fan for a number of years because half the family, including my wife, now living down in South Florida. When I go down there and have a chance to visit, we have gone to Panthers games. We used to go when there was nobody in the building, literally, because it was during COVID. And then we went with non-sellout crowds, buying tickets for 25 or 30 bucks. Now it's like $1,000 or more to get a ticket to go to a Panthers game. They all of a sudden became good and popular. But we've been following them. In fact, my wife and son have been to a couple Stanley Cup Finals games. They went to one of the games against Las Vegas a couple of years ago. They went to one of the games against Edmonton last year. Can't afford it this year. It was too much. The price just keeps going up. But it is a fun time down there to go to a Panthers game. Been to a few. And Bob, the man, Bennett, please sign and come back. He gets the Conn Smythe Trophy. And you could have given that to about 3 or 4 different Florida Panthers, to be honest. It was such team effort. And for Edmonton, it was very clear the difference in this series. They've got 2 of the best players in the world, and they don't have a lot of depth. The Panthers have multiple players that are at a really high level and maybe at the peak of their careers, and they play really well together, and they all play their roles. They all buy into the system. They play physical. They play forecheck. And as a result, here they are again, skating with the Stanley Cup, having a good time down at, what's the name of the place? What's the name of the place down there on Las Olas that they go every year and fill the cup, serve the beer from the second level? Gosh darn it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. It'll come to me probably. I might put it in the description because I know it's going to come to me as soon as I get done with this video. But big congrats to the Florida Panthers. All right, I'm wrapping it up. Not much on the tube tonight as far as top-level sports because you already had the NHL wrapping up. The NBA doesn't play until tomorrow night. Maybe it's the College World Series out in Omaha. And enjoy whatever you've got ahead for your Wednesday night. And we'll talk more. Pacers, Oklahoma City, Game 6 coming up tomorrow night. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and leave your comment at the bottom. Love to hear from you.